Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson. This is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
And tonight we'll be reviewing a movie called Ready or Not that was released in 2019. So, it's a new one, or not very... It's been recently released.
Well, 2019. It's reasonably... How recent
reasonably
do you want to
new.
get? Not this year, but anyway. Okay.
So, some of you guys already know about it, and everyone has made their assumptions about it.
Your mate from Dead Meat's done, hasn't he?
Yeah, my friend James A. Janice. You guys may have heard of him. He's on Dead Meat.
Anybody else?
And a few other ones I'm not familiar with, but
okay.
have laid their thoughts on it. What did you say?
Well, I know you're the one who looks. I don't. Excuse me. That's
So
my microphone.
let's get down into it. Who might be directing, writing,
all
and
the good stuff.
producing
The
it?
bits I do. Okay, before she starts. Now, okay, here we go. Producers: James Vanderbilt, Trip Vinson, William Sherrack, and Bradley Fisher. Directors had two directors actually. Don't know why. Maybe they shared the duties. I do not know. Anyway.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen a directorship that's been done with two directors. I mean, on the odd occasion in the past, we've often heard of directors quitting halfway through the project, or
and then
being replaced by someone
or
else.
Or you're doing maybe directing an anthology. You might have two or three different directors. That
That's
sort
true.
of thing. Yeah.
But this is a different one. This is like a single movie, no anthology
The
involved.
collaboration of two directors doing it. How's it? Now, directors Matt Bettinelli-Olpin, I think that's the right pronunciation of his name, and Tyler Gillette. Written by Guy Busick maybe, and Christopher Murphy. Okay, I won't go into too much here. I will mention, though, before I do the cast, James Vanderbilt, the producer, he has a very, 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 very brief cameo in the movie. He plays the devil.
Good evening.
And the two writers, Guy and Christopher, they are on a YouTube thing about how to use crossbows or something?
Yeah, there was a brief video, you may have seen it online.
How to use a crossbow.
How to use a crossbow, and this guy who has no knowledge of using a crossbow decides to use that video as a bit of a tool.
How to use a crossbow. Well, anyway, I'll go through the main actors here. Now, this might sound like I'm a dirty old man because I think this girl's really hot. Now, but the point is, Samara Weaving, she plays our lead lady, protagonist, final girl, whatever you want to call her. She plays Grace Ladomas. Now she's at the beginning of the movie, she gets married to Alex Dumas.
I gotta admit, when I hear that name Dumas, it makes me think of
Damas.
Damas.
Okay, fine. I knew you'd say that. Can I just say something? Now, when I saw Samara Weaving in The Babysitter, I thought, hey, this girl can act. She looks good on screen. She can act.
Yeah.
But I see in this movie, she's tending towards an action hero type, a bit like Mila Jovovich. What would you reckon?
I would definitely think that she's heading in that general direction.
Yeah, and she is really, really good. I mean, she looks good. She can act, and she can do the physical stuff quite nice, and it's believable. So I'm waiting to see what else this lady can do, because I think she's really good. So it doesn't hurt being extremely good looking, but the point is that she can actually cut it quite well in front of the camera and do the roles quite nicely. So anyway,
go on.
Moving right along, Mark O'Brien plays Alex Ladomas, Grace's husband, and brother of Daniel and Emily, isn't it?
Yeah, Emma.
Adam Brody plays Daniel, his brother I just mentioned. Henry Cerny plays Tony Ladomas. He's dad. He's a little turd. Andy McDowell plays there. She plays Mommy. Melanie Scrofano. She plays Emily, Alex and Daniel's cocaine-addicted sister. She's a very nice lady.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. She's a scream.
Kristen Brun plays Emily's husband, Fitz Bradley.
He's a total dork.
He's a twist.
Dork.
And no, you've got to have somebody who's a bit of a comedy relief in there. So.
I guess.
Elise Levesque, maybe, plays Charity, which is Daniel's wife. Nikki Giordini Nikki Giordini, I think. Gardini, whatever, plays Helene Ledomas. That's Daniel and Alex's aunt, who, as the story unfolds, she went through the same sort of crap 30 years earlier with her husband. And the last one I'll mention here is John Ralston. He plays Stevens, their family butler. He plays an interesting role too. But anyway, I won't mention the other ones. They're just sort of more bit parts like maids and the kiddies and stuff. So.
Yeah, seeing as...
But they're the main ones.
Yeah.
That's better, isn't it?
Yeah,
you want to start telling your old story? That's better.
Yeah, okay. So the story begins where a young Daniel and his brother Alex are running through the big mansion where they live in, and Daniel quickly hides his brother in a closet while a man appears, and he's panicking and scared. He's bleeding from a wound.
He's got wounds on him.
But suddenly,
you don't know why.
Daniel yells for his parents and his mum and dad. He's here. And eventually, the guy gets wounded again by either I think a crossbow wound or something.
I think it's actually a spear gun or something, but it doesn't matter. It had all these weird. It had spear guns and old pistols and swords and whatever they had.
They drag him into another room, and Daniel's told by his mum, "You did a good job by telling someone." Yada yada. Like when you tell someone that of a stranger, and you must tell your parents of that stranger in that very house, even though this very stranger is the husband to Helen, and Helen is pleading, wishing that her husband was not going to be taken away to be executed. Anyway, we cross 30 years later?
30 years,
Yeah, 30 years later. And Alex, a fully grown Alex, is getting married to his love of his life. What's her name? Grace. This beautiful girl.
She's beautiful. A lovely gown.
Very nice. And the rest of the family are less than thrilled that she's joining the clan.
Oh, no, Mum's not too bad.
The Mum's not too bad. The father is not so cheerful.
Was it the girl, Emily? One was really gussy all over it? Or that one?
Daniel, who's become a total drunk in 30 years later.
Hey, living in this family, it'd drive you a drink.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
He's living with a drag of a wife of his own.
Oh, she's real pain in the neck,
And he feels like he doesn't deserve to live in their family anymore. He feels like you have to be totally drunk to be living in with these
Exactly.
weirdos. Anyway, the wedding proceeds. It's beautiful. Bride wearing white. The nice place is decked up and all that stuff. Oh, so you guys know this was filmed in 2 different places. One of it was filmed in another movie called Billy Madison. Some of the scenes.
Oh, yeah, the place.
And the rest of the other scenes, the indoor scenes and stuff like that, it's actually filmed from the X-Men with,
they use that same building, yeah.
Yeah, similar building structures, and which are still...
We could have talked about that in the production details later.
I know, but it's important. I think it's interesting.
It would have been in production details.
And
you're going to give me less to talk about now.
And to this day, they do the tours down there, which is kind of cool, really, if you want to visit.
This is where this person died. Really good.
It's a good location place to go visit.
Okay.
Anyway, back to the story.
Moving right along.
So after the wedding, the usual stuff, Alex and Grace pursue to their room, where Grace wants to jump into the usual thing that people get married when they get married.
He wants to get in the saddle, and she wants... Anyway, we won't go there.
Yeah, and tells her at the beginning, I should mention, that he tells her that you have a way out, all that stuff like that, if you don't want to go through this. But she's all wanting to get down to it because she wants a family. She was in foster care for most of the years.
When she was a child, she was in foster care.
Yeah, and she would love to have a family, for sisters, brothers, stuff like that. But she doesn't know what she's in for. So they have this
family.
Yeah, Alex tells her about a tradition they have at their home where new members of the clan must
on the wedding night.
On the wedding night, they must take part in a game of sorts.
The game has to be played at midnight.
Yes.
And it's a random selection of games. So they got a special sort of boxing, and it tells you what game you are to play. Now, a bit of history. This family made money in actually making games. So, like back in the early days, their great-great-grandfather, whatever, used to make playing cards, and then he met somebody.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, shush.
I was going to say, this mystery man he met on a boat called LaBelle, and LaBelle gave him a special mystical box and tells him you must solve this, and therefore he eventually does solve it, and by doing so, LaBelle would offer him, a fortune, and in return, he wants something in return really badly, wouldn't you say? Anyway.
Probably.
Yeah.
You're telling the story.
Yeah. It takes place, so how do they use the box? Well, you have to take one playing card, a very blank one, and place inside the box. And
you close a drawer.
And then once the bell, beyond the grave, selects the random game they play.
Now, it could be, what I was trying to say before you jumped into it.
Go on.
This company, Mr. LaBelle, whatever, made a deal with their great-grandfather. If he could solve the puzzle of the box, then he would finance him in any venture he was doing, and it helped him grow his family business to go from cards into other things and to become a big multinational, humongously rich.
It went,
like Monopoly and those sort of things.
It went from board games like your average Monopoly games to sporting teams like hockey or football or whatever games you can think of.
Bucket loads of money. Yeah, no matter what he did, he made money on.
So they made a bucket load of money out of this. So anyway, back to the story. So Grace's game, when she places the card into the little boxy thing, turns out to be hide and seek. The rest of the other games the other members of the family had was either Old Maid, chess, and whatever other games.
They're the safe ones. Hide and seek ain't quite so safe.
Yeah, the object of that game is to hide till next morning.
Supposedly there's the person nominated, which is a new person in the family, which is a bride, has to hide from everybody until dawn, and they go hunting her. However, it's a lethal hunt. If they catch her, they're going to get her and take her to a ritual. If she survives,
they're doomed.
They're doomed. So their life depends on her life, sort of thing. How's that?
Anyway, they don't tell her that part because it's not really relevant.
They'd turn off the marriage, wouldn't it, straight away?
Anyway, she goes off to hide while the rest of them play a record while they suit up. They get handed a mixture of different weapons. Some of them are given old rifles. Others were Helen got a battle axe. Would you say?
Well, she was a bit of an old battle axe, so that's it.
Yeah. And Brad, Emily's husband, gets a crossbow, which turns out to be he's really lousy at.
Well.
But not as lousy as Emily, who's really bad at crossbow, her rifle.
Pistols or guns or whatever. Yeah. And she kept killing people accidentally.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. So
another maid lost you.
Yeah. Grace hides in a dumbwaiter.
Yeah.
For a little while until she got bored and decides to get out, and then she runs into her husband, Alex, who's not taking part in the hide and seek game, and he tells her to go. He hides her in their room, and while one of the maids was searching for one of the kids, there's kids in this one again, named Georgie and Gabe, I think, Gabe.
Or whatever. Hang on,
who cares? And She gets shot by Emily accidentally, and Emily saying, "Oh, I shot her," but she's not wearing white. At the scene, Grace is wearing
wearing a wedding dress.
The wedding dress.
They'll stand out really good.
The maids, they wore just ordinary black
and whites.
Black and whites.
Yeah.
So
funny that, hey?
Anyway, this is not the first time Emily gets it wrong. She even takes her husband's crossbow and shoots right into the mouth of the second maid, into the mouth.
How did this work? Bang! Oops, straight from her mouth. What a great shot. I reckon she couldn't do it again.
Yes. And of course, the rest of the kill was done by Helen, where she just takes a battle axe and severs her head off.
Well, I would, yeah.
The maid,
she,
not
No,
not
yeah,
her
well, she was
Emma.
still gurgling and stuff, make a bit of noise, and it was annoying Helen, so she, I'll finish the job, yeah. What a lovely person, very kind.
Yeah, anyway, Alex explains to the full story, like, that the regular games, like Old Maid Chess, are just played by ordinary games, sort of things, but when it comes to hide and seek, it's a dangerous battlefield where it's up there, where they hunt her down, and if she does, and eventually she might get killed, obviously.
If they catch her before sunup, she will be taken into custody and go through a ritual, and she becomes a sacrifice.
Yes.
Aha.
Yeah. See.
That's pretty lethal.
Yeah. See, they can't kill her. If they kill her while they're hunting for her, then she will not be.
Well, they can't do the ritual.
They can't do the ritual.
Which means they're stuffed.
Yeah. Anyway, in the past, a lot of people in the family tried to elope or leave or marry someone outside of their home, and those people got really randomly killed.
Well, they died somehow or other. They died. No, they just die.
Yeah, they died or disappear.
Well, they said they had an accident, something or other, but didn't really. Something happened. You got the devil or whoever this guy is. We think it's the devil. Takes Elijah. Of course, then the family's cursed.
Yeah.
Because of the deal that the great grandfather made.
Yeah. Alex makes plans of getting the locks on the door. See, the place is locked and locked down, the house, and he must go to the security room to unlock the doors, and in order to do so, he has to go to the special where they keep their cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a security room.
Security room.
There you go. That's a good name
so
for it.
He goes in there and he tries to unlock the doors. It takes a lot longer. Eventually, Grace suits up. She ends up ripping her dress throughout this process. Just so you guys know, throughout there is like, let me see, there is like 17 dresses that were made throughout this movie of the wedding dress, and it's sort of like described by the designer as a bit of a trip, like a character development trip throughout this movie.
Well, yeah, the pretty dress beginning, it gets a bit tatty, but by the end of the show, it's no longer white.
No longer.
It's more like a purpley bloody colour.
Anyway, she eventually gets a special armed bullet band, whatever they call it, those things, and a rifle. But
she gets a rifle and a bullet belt.
Yeah, bullet belt. As it turns out, that gun isn't, which was not
the
red.
gun was okay, but it was fake.
Yeah, as it turns out, that explains why it was left there and no one bothered to take it when they were suiting up to hunt for Grace in the beginning.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, and in this scene, she didn't bother loading it. I mean, I know you said...
In the beginning, it did. Well, I thought she would have, but she didn't load it first up. And then when she loaded it, she found out the bullets didn't work because they were plastic.
I know in a lot of movies they will often say, "Okay, you take the gun off the wall. Is it already loaded when you take it off the wall, or something like that?" But this is an interesting. This is a question that's plagued audience members when they take a gun off the wall in the trophy room, and is it loaded? We don't know, and then when we do fire it, we find out. When you said, Mike?
Click, click. Oh, damn. It doesn't work. There you go.
Yeah, anyway, she runs to the butler. She eventually throws a teapot at him, I think.
With hot water in it.
Burns his
hot
face
tea.
off.
Yeah.
And she's able to get out a couple times. She tries to get out through...
But did she get a cup of tea? No.
Yeah, of course. She eventually does get out and makes her way well, actually, she actually falls out in one scene where she ends up falling through a window. It cut during
Fall out or jump out?
jump out, I guess.
I think
Fall
jump
out,
out.
jump
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And she makes her way across the lawn. She's still pursued, so she eventually hides in one of the barns, where we discover in a bit of a hole.
There's lots of goats
There are a lot of goats bones
And-
inside this hole, along with dead sacrifice members of
The
the
family and
family
other
who
people.
have been like the man at the beginning we mentioned.
He'd been dropped there 30 years ago.
Yeah, and his bones are still rotting there.
Yeah.
We do also hear a bit of a story from Alex's side about how he's been helping his family by sacrificing goats, and feels like this whole thing with them sacrificing a human being is just not right. His family do catch on to him helping Grace, and eventually handcuff him to into a bed. And eventually he keeps saying that there's no way he's going to he's going to try to stop them and all that stuff. But his mother tells him, guess what? I don't think you have the guts, because you are still part of this clan, and therefore we don't think you have the balls or the cojones to stop this sort of thing. Anyway, back to Grace. She eventually meets up with one of the Georgie. And she thinks that he will not dob her in, but he does dob her in, and he ends up...
He has a pistol. And he
Yeah,
shoots
I
at
think
her.
he uses his mum's pistol. I think she mentioned it was
She dropped it somewhere, didn't she? Yeah.
And they couldn't
very
find
clumsy. Yeah, he had it.
Yeah, she shots her through her palm here in her hand. I don't know if I think it's either her. Yeah, I think it was her left hand. Yeah, left.
Yeah, I think
And
so, yeah.
she screams out, and then she throws the kid a punch in the face.
I would, little shit. I mean,
Hey, don't swear.
well, okay.
You don't know what kids might be out
okay,
there.
little piece of manure. There's that.
Anyway, she then tumbles into the pit, and she tries climbing out, and then she ends up having her hand, the very same hand that got a hole in it,
got a nail through it.
nail through. Luckily, it had a hole in it already.
Yes, hey, that's handy, convenient.
Yeah, but still painful considering. She eventually uses parts of her wedding gown and wraps her hand in it with a bandage. She eventually heads out, and she tries to head through the gate. Through the gap, even though it was more painful than it looks.
Yes, a cut across the back or something, wasn't it?
Cut, through her back or through her chest. I don't know which part.
I think it was a back. Yeah, whatever, doesn't matter.
She eventually tries to call down a driver on the road, but he just says "F off."
Get off the road, yeah, silly me, whatever. Yeah.
And she yells for him, telling him he's a jerk and all that stuff. She eventually does get. The butler does catch up to her, and he tries to knock her out. And eventually, he tries to tell the family the sacrifice is still on, all that stuff. And he plays his loud music in the backyard.
He doesn't realise that his little girl in the back is waking up because he didn't get enough drug into his system.
Yeah, eventually she knocks him out, and it's like they're watching a serious boxing match where everyone says, ooh, ah,
It's not quite
watching
funny,
this
actually.
video. It's so funny. It's very
And
funny.
what did actually look funny, yeah.
And eventually he crashes the car, and Grace eventually gets out. And Daniel appears, and he tells her that, and I should mention earlier that he tried to help her before to give her a head start by not yelling for his relatives to come in like he did when he was back in as a 10-year-old. It's because he didn't. I guess he's just as objects to the whole process
He doesn't
too.
like what's going on.
Yeah. Anyway, he tries. This time he knocks her out, and they began to take her to the sacrifice room. Everyone gets prepped up, robed up, and
Very nice.
And everyone starts chanting yada yada yada. And as they're about to perform the final act of stabbing her and killing her, they start puking and throwing up.
Yeah, they had to drink something out of a ceremonial goblet.
Yeah. And whatever was in the goblet has made them sick.
A bit of diluted hydrochloric acid, not enough to hurt them, but enough to make them feel sick.
Yeah, somehow
you go.
Daniel has drugged them, and he was able to untie Grace from the table and try to head out. But then his own wife, who I don't know her backstory, but by the sounds of it, it's much more deeper than hers.
She came from a really, really poor background. She'd rather die than go back to that.
Yeah.
So she was prepared to do anything.
to
She's a
stay
bitch.
in power and money. Anyway, even though her husband probably doesn't like the lifestyle.
He doesn't like her either, probably.
Yeah.
He's a little cow,
Anyway, she shoots him. He drops down the ground, and then Grace attacks her and pelts her. Eventually, the mother, Daniel's mother, appears, and they begin to have a fight. And Grace takes the label box and starts pelting her with it,
smash in the head.
And then Alex appears, and he's grieving over his dead brother's body. He loved him very much.
He loved him like a brother.
Duh.
Duh.
And he's sad, but now that his brother's dead, he wants to continue the ritual, as it turns out. And as they're about to lay her down on the table again, not lay her down. Yeah, lay her down.
They put it back on the ceremonial table. Yeah.
He's standing over her. I think there's a
had the household.
Yeah,
yep.
And he raises the blade, but somehow Grace shivels her body, and somehow it stabs her into the shoulder.
In the shoulder, not through the chest. And she rolls off the table.
And she grabs the knife and starts screaming like a banshee.
But then
we see outside
Helen realizes
that it's already daylight.
Yeah.
Dawn's broken.
Yeah, Helen looks towards the curtain. She says, "Oh damn!" She opens the curtain a bit.
Yeah. And everyone cowers in fear, like they're vampires.
We're gonna die.
Oh, we're gonna die.
And
but
nothing happens.
Yeah, everything nothing happens.
It's all bullshit.
They swear, Mike.
I say, it was all a falsehood.
Yeah,
that
and
better?
they all think it's. But they realized Grace is still alive. So what now? But then Helen raises her battle axe and says, "The girl still dies." And then we hear, she bursts into bloody nothing.
Yes, he blew up like a balloon. Bang.
And then they realize, and then we hear in the background the hide and seek record. Just so you guys know, the place is on fire. Literally.
When they were having a bit of a tussle before.
Yes.
They knocked race for a lantern, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of the lanterns that I thought that those lanterns were.
I don't know whether
torch, not really fire.
Back in those ones, it would have been either gas lanterns or kerosene lanterns or naphtha oil or something or other. Yeah, they would have had something in it like that. Yeah. And they've thrown it there, and it spilled or set fire to the curtains, as one would expect in one of these sorts of movies.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, each of the members starts blowing up Daniel's wife blew up, and then he blows up, and the two kids and Emma, they try to head out, and their deaths are very tasteful because
the kids get blown up off screen, so we don't see the kiddies go,
which is kind of good because I don't think people would like to see two children getting blown up.
Yeah.
And then the head of the household, the father of the household, I should say, he gets blown up, even though he says, "I'm the one who followed your rules." But then bang, and Alex tries to plead with Grace, saying that he didn't mean this, he didn't mean to go far, and he said that there's no way that this will affect them both, but it doesn't matter anymore. Grace has had her fill of Alex and his his fucking family, his family.
You said effing.
Yeah, well, she's tired of his family, so she takes out her wedding ring and just hurls it at him, saying, "I want a divorce." And pop.
Now that marriage didn't last long, not even 24 hours. Hey.
Then the whole room is covered in blood, and we see in the corner, from in a chair, LaBelle
there was a
nodding
special
her.
chair they used left aside all the time. It was vacant for Mr. LaBelle to appear in.
Yeah, LaBelle nods at her, and he's the producer mentioned.
He was a producer, Buckalux,
And Grace just says something, I won't say it because I don't want to, and she heads outside, and
the
waiting.
house is burning down behind her.
And off screen we hear in the background the police and fire department and possibly ambulances arriving at the scene.
The usual banter going on. Look, the fire, blah, blah, do something.
And I guess the fireman approached Grace saying, "What happened here?" And she says, "In-laws." The end.
Very tasteful.
I gotta admit, it's a really good movie, and I often think that LaBelle was probably rooting for Grace all through this movie.
Actually, I think, honestly, you did raise that before we did the podcast, that we're trying to figure out what was his motives and this ongoing curse and everything. And we think, occasionally he'd pick a formidable
Opponent.
opponent, if you will, to go against the family and see if they can take them on and destroy them.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to take the Domus people into custody, not necessarily sacrifices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys know, the following other people who were married to dumbasses.
The dumbasses, yeah.
They are like Bradley, who's a total weakling, and the same I could say for Daniel's wife, who's a total weakling. I think would be the right word. They both got old maid and chess, and it got me thinking.
They're wimpy.
They were probably not worthy adversaries for the family.
The barn had goats in it, so I would hazard a guess that in that instance, instead of doing a ritual killing of a human being, they'd actually kill one of the goats off.
Yeah, like as...
And maybe do a sacrifice every year or something, or whatever,
when there's a chance that no one's getting married this week, so we might as well...
we use a goat instead. But they only picked... 30 years ago, they picked someone to play hide and seek, and now Grace comes along, a formidable opponent, and she actually won, and the family lost. And that was it. And I think that was what the thing was. He wanted to, he wanted to foreclose on their spiritual mortgage. How's that?
Yeah, the contract between the LaBelles and the
La Domas family.
I used to thought the LaBelle is another term for the devil. Like
no, okay. Through different thingies and Hebrew and stuff, and it goes through Belial and different things and their corruptions of the name. Yes, it's implied it was the devil. Let's move or one of his friends. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think it was the devil.
Because from what I've read in books and heard of non-stop, the devil's the one you most likely make. You
don't make a contract with the devil.
Actually, with.
I read somewhere that the devil is supposed to be the patron saint of lawyers. Now, I don't know if that's true, because the devil never tells the truth, and neither do lawyers. No,
that's what I mean.
Don't know.
Like lawyers, and they do contracts between companies or businesses, and in this
they
case,
the guilty as well as the innocent.
And like the dumbasses, they're like the clients to LaBelle, and. I guess he wanted to end their arrangement because he was getting sick and tired of being given sacrificed ghosts every time.
There's only so much goat meat you can eat,
Yeah, and the same I could say for only having one human sacrifice every so often. Not so many times.
And good ones.
Yeah. Anyway, I like to think that he just was just done with the Moss guys and just wanted to move forward with someone else. Anyway, that's my theory. I like to think he was rooting for Grace all the time. Like the reason why he selected her was because he knew that she would be their demise. And what better way to demise them than having them pop like balloons?
Oh, very nice. Very nice effect, wasn't it? Yes.
I think so. I thought it was cool when this was actually... They really used special... mount these on special stands, and they really did pop them right there in the very scene, like using special fake blood that actually tastes like caramel and squashed bananas.
Oh, yummy!
Yeah, quite delicious, according to one of the actors, and it was very delicious. Especially,
you don't want something bad all over you, please.
Yeah,
Samara had this crap all over her, so she would not have liked it.
The Bradley character Finch, he said in one of the interviews that he wished to have some of that stuff in his mouth, and of course the director says no, you have to write it, it's not toxic, but the actual actor says no, I don't mind this, I would like to do a scene where I'm spitting out part of the blood, in one of the scenes. He thought it was kind of effective and kind of cool, and I applaud him for that when you think about it.
Oh, and kind of a bottle to take home for the kiddies. No.
I gotta admit, I have heard about how people can make fake blood, and it can be very tasty. I mean, if you do the flavor right, and it's effective in the end, and it's kind of great that there is some blood stuff out there that you can just generally taste nice.
They use things like corn syrup and other things, and to get you get the texture right and other things, and they don't want to make unpleasant because you're going to spray it over on someone's face and stuff.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have a taste like boot polish, would you?
Yeah, you heard me mention now in Psycho they used chocolate syrup for making the fake blood
but
for
that was black and white, so you can get away with any colour you like as long as it was dark. Even blue syrup if you like. Curacao.
I remember years ago that sometimes the blood looked like ketchup blood when you think about it, which I imagine it was ketchup.
Well, they used to talk about ketchup. Now, in the olden days of black and white, it wouldn't matter what colour it is, but if it was thick enough and it would stick to the clothing, that's what they wanted. So they might have used that.
Yeah, but these days it's changed a lot. Like they try to make it look more chunkier, like it's more than just blood that's coming out of their bits, skin,
if you have been blown
leftovers.
up a little bit or chewed up by something, you would have some gunky bits coming out too, possibly. But normally you just have an ordinary fluid blood, just liquid blood, with no floaties.
Yeah, of course. And in this movie, I didn't see too much character development. I would love.
You didn't need it.
Yeah. I know
so we had this backstory.
Yeah, we know that
about the grandpa or whatever.
Yeah, and we know Grace's backstory about being in foster care for when she was a kid.
And we know Helen's been for 30 years earlier with her husband.
Yeah, and she was willing to do anything for her family.
So there was enough backstory to make it interesting, and that's what makes it good. They didn't waste too much time on backstories, but there was enough there so you'd understand the story.
I gotta admit, though, the chemistry between the characters of the Moss's family makes me think of...
It worked really
well.
Good casting.
It makes me think of Cluedo, the game, where everyone is connected to each of his family, and each one doesn't really 100% like each other. But they know each other's secrets.
Yeah, so we get the feeling also that some of the people got married in the family, and they just chose anybody they like because there's a good chance they could have died anyway. I'll just pick anybody. And they weren't lucky enough to have their one chosen to be killed.
I like to think Bradley was an unlucky one, but I guess they never suspect what LaBelle he might select.
That's it. So it's a good, fun comedy horror, and actually, when I say comedy horror, it is a little bit of comedy. There's enough horror to make it almost serious. So you go, ooh, yes, okay, but there's enough comedy to lighten it without going too ridiculous, and that they got the balance really good.
True.
Now, do you want me to go on reception?
Yes, indeed.
Bloomin' marvellous. I cannot find any negative reports from anybody on this.
Yeah.
I'll go through a couple just to keep Sarah satisfied. Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 88% approval rating. Smart, subversive, and darkly funny, Ready or Not is a crowd-pleasing horror film with giddily entertaining bite. And it just goes on, that sort of stuff all the way through. No one said anything nasty about it. Now, actually, I didn't mention the box office before. I forgot to do that.
Sorry.
I didn't write it down. But it was something that only made about $6 million. And I think it made about $60 million or something rather at the theatre. So they made a decent profit out of it. They kept the budget light. Look, it wasn't overly done with special effects, apart from maybe the blowing up of the people and the appearance of the demon or devil. That was about all the special effects, wasn't it? So they didn't have to spend all extra money out making it, let's make that special effect and spend another couple of mil. They didn't have to worry about doing that. Most of it was just the budget was reined in quite nicely, and they got a damn fine product out of it. I'm wrapped in it. It's really, really good. And like Sarah said, the casting was exceptional. Everybody was believable. And that's what you want. Even the kids were reasonably believable. And kids really hard to get on track, especially something like this.
Yes.
Everything worked. Now, availability, if you will.
Oh, wait, this is interesting, Mike.
Sorry, yes.
The masks that the Domas family used in the prologue are...
A mask, yeah.
Those masks were used in the Twilight Zone episode the masks back in 1964, where they are worn by members of a wealthy family.
Wait a minute, I have to look at those again. I didn't recognise the mask. But that's fine. That's fine. Okay, that's cool. Now, okay, what I was going to say is availability. eBay, there's plenty for sale. Amazon has it rentable for your Prime and also for sale. It's probably available on other sites as well if you want to go looking for it. You might be able to stream it, I don't know. Now, I don't often do this, but I'm going to give it a 10.
I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the fact that the lead protagonist was one of my favorite actresses. Well, not one of my favorite actresses. I mean, I only known her in 3 movies, and this is my 3rd movie I've reviewed her in.
Samara really covered it quite nicely, and that's and the other people did too. But she was the main one. She held that movie together quite nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
like I said, she's another Mila Jovovich.
Yeah, and
in the making.
And I like it that the actress came from Australia, which makes it even more crowd pleasing when I think about it.
Okay.
Well, I think it's important that an actress from Australia has a good background.
Well, there you go then. I didn't know that. I didn't check. Okay, right. Okay.
Well, I learned it from James A. Janice.
Right.
Mike doesn't like dead meat for gosh.
No, I didn't say I don't like him. I'd said the way he does his reviews, he counts body counts. After the first person died after 5 minutes in the show. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's his style. I'm not saying he's doing his style, which appeals to a particular type of person. So that's fine. I just don't personally like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I like him, especially the fact that
he's doing it and he's making he's got a good following. I think I'd take my hat off to the guy if I was wearing a hat. Now.
Yeah. Well, I do like the man. I like the fact that he's made himself well known in this industry, especially how he's been in a lot of those documentaries, like the Search in Darkness series.
But the guy's
and
really good. But
I think I really applaud the fact he knows horror movies.
Exactly right. That's what I'm saying. He knows his stuff, he studies up and he gets it and he delivers it really well. He mightn't like what we do. That's fine. That's his taste. There you go. That's all I said to you, okay? Right. Okay.
I mean, I do applaud him and the fact how big his channel is getting lately. It's quite got a big audience numbers.
Well,
of course, this year he got married and he had to hand it over to someone else for a little bit.
Oh well, there you go.
So I think.
Hey, why did he go play hide and seek with his wife?
I don't know. He probably has. And his wife, his Chelsea. That's her name, Chelsea. She's also reviewed a couple of episodes this year. I don't know how many, but she's also on his podcast channel too.
Okay.
They do a podcast too as well, not just the odd movie review thing where they sit down and discuss it like we are.
Kill it. We're not talking about Mr. Janice, we're talking about us.
Anyway, I do think this movie's good. So, where can we find it is a big question.
Before you said that.
Oh, yeah, so you did.
eBay, there's plenty for sale. Amazon has it rentable and some for sale as well. So, and you can find it probably in lots of other good review places as well, being only 2 years old or 3 years old. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Ta-da.
Yeah, I do applaud this movie, guys, and be sure to check it out and let us know in the comments what you guys think of that movie.
Yeah. And if Samara Weaving hears this, I think you're excellent. I think you're going to be another action hero type lady, if that's what you want to do.
Either Samara Weaving, like Alien.
Who? Sigourney, yeah.
Sigourney Weaver, or
Mila Jovovich, or something like that. Or you handled this role, which was, I wouldn't say an action role, but heading in that direction.
It was heading in that general direction. She was coming off as a strong woman.
Yeah, now, I talk about alpha males, or whatever the female version would be of an alpha male. She was really good, yeah. I'd like to see more of her in these sort of movies, where an action type movie or,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So, hands down, she did a good job. So, that's about it for us tonight,
So
guys.
if anyone knows Samara, tell her about the podcast and see if she can send Sarah a line on Facebook. There you go.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Anyway, thanks for listening to us, everyone, and be sure to check out our next episode as we go along.
Cool.
This is Sarah Stephenson
And Michael.
saying we'll see you guys for our next one. Bye for now.
Cheers. Bye.